Hello and welcome to Access Asia here on France 24. I'm Will Hildebrandt. Coming up, humiliated and whipped at work. Shocking images out of China show employees punished for failing to complete their tasks. Still, many managers defend the practices. Untold numbers of Chinese children have gone missing for decades. We'll find out why and meet some of the families affected. And an Indian village dubbed the cleanest in all of Asia has become popular with tourists and now faces a new challenge to maintain its unblemished reputation. We begin in China with reports of underperforming workers being forced to drink urine or eat cockroaches. The allegations are based on widely shared images posted on social media, sparking a debate over workers' rights and abuse of power. Clement Bonnereau reports.
More than just a slap on the wrist. These Chinese workers are being whipped with a belt and forced to drink urine in front of their colleagues. The reason they failed to meet their sales targets. The clip, filmed during the monthly meeting of a home renovation company, has been viewed 500,000 times on social media. It sparked mixed reactions in Beijing.
I wonder how employees accept to be treated like this.
Why would anyone be so cruel? It's horrible.
Everyone should run their company as they please.
In this other video, employees are standing on a stage as they're being flogged one by their manager. The company's director later issued an apology. In China, underperforming workers are routinely abused by their managers. Here, employees were told to crawl around on all fours. Many, including employees, defend the practice.
In China, managers are like father figures. They say, I pay your salary, so I do whatever I want. And employees are completely submissive. They do what they're told, and they don't complain.
Corporal punishment is officially banned in China, but many see it as a way to motivate workers. Employees have no choice but to accept their fate.
Staying in China, it's a problem that goes back decades, but only now is getting widespread attention. Thousands and thousands of children have been kidnapped, often by someone they know. Demand for abduction fueled by many people's desires for large families and difficulties with adoption. Our colleagues at our sister channel, France 2, met some of the families who have been affected.
A silence heavy with sadness at this demonstration by Chinese parents, all trying to find their missing children. Photos on their posters are often long out of date, but they hold on to hope. There are no official statistics, but what numbers exist are shocking. Between 70 and 200,000 children are believed to be stolen in China every year.
I was in my shop. I left my son playing with two other children. He was kidnapped by a man. My son was 4 years old.
Police keep a watchful eye in an extremely rare instance of a public demonstration tolerated by Chinese authorities. Wang Mingqing embodies the hopes of these parents because he found his daughter. In 1994, she was kidnapped by a stranger in broad daylight. For 2 decades, Wang Mingqing put up missing persons posters like these. Previously a fruit seller, he became a taxi driver so that he could look for his daughter while he worked. She wasn't far away.
It took me 24 years to find my daughter, and she was living only 20 kilometers away. 20 kilometers in 24 years. Can you believe that?
Here she is as a teenager, raised in the family of the man who kidnapped her. One day, her grandmother admitted that Qifeng was not her true granddaughter, thus began a long quest to find her real family, in part on these social networks filled with the thousands of faces of children and parents looking for each other. The two now keep in near constant contact, and in finding his daughter, Wang Mingqing also found out he has a granddaughter.
I missed her so much.
I'm so happy. I don't know how to express this feeling. I finally found my parents, my real family.
But such happy endings are rare for China's stolen children. Kidnapping has become a nationwide scourge. 2 years ago, in the middle of the night, a police raid led to the apprehension of a network of traffickers. Some 15 children, boys and girls, were rescued. They were due to be sold, most to parents who have been unable to adopt legally. 70 people were arrested. Children in China's impoverished southwest are often the easiest targets. Liu Mengmeng fell into the hands of baby merchants. Today, she's married, living with her in-laws.
When I was little, I was told that my adoptive mother had bought me from child traffickers. They had several babies set out on a cart, and people would come pick the one they liked. They handed over the cash, and the deal was done.
At the time, she was a newborn, barely a week old, sold for the equivalent of 112 euros. The woman seen here at left was the one who bought her. She died a few years later. But Liu Mengmeng, nurtured by her adoptive father, still had a happy childhood.
Sometimes I want to find my biological parents, but I'm also afraid. They sold me away back then, so maybe they wouldn't even see me as their daughter. I don't know what to do.
According to Chinese state media, every year just 70 of these missing children are reunited with their families.
High on the Tibetan plateau, where people's livelihoods are often inseparable from their livestock, shepherds are buying insurance policies for their yaks. 700,000 animals are now insured. Mario Sofos takes a look at the reasons behind this soft power policy, largely subsidized by China.
On the Tibetan plateau, where the mountains touch the sky, the cold has already arrived. In the winter, these yaks are herded to the lowlands where there are still pastures for them to graze on. The yak is a sacred animal here.
Every family owns yaks. It's her only source of income.
These Tibetan nomads make their money by selling the yak's milk, meat, wool and leather. In this vast region, home to nearly 1 million people, there are in fact more yaks than humans. The yaks here are susceptible to illness and are sometimes killed by wolves, much to the frustration of the farmers. Now, though, the animals are being insured. It's a new policy implemented by Beijing, and it's a French insurance company known within the world of agriculture that won the bid. All the animals have to be fitted with an electronic chip, one of the key conditions of the insurance plan.
This is its ID number. Each yak has a number like an identity card so that we can better monitor them. It's compulsory. If a farmer loses his yak, he can receive up to 260 euros in compensation.
For the farmers, it's undoubtedly a relief. Now, 700,000 animals are covered by this insurance. The system is largely subsidized by the Chinese government.
80% of insurance costs are covered by the state.
For the government, it's a way of maintaining social harmony in this Tibetan region that borders China's Sichuan province, one which has experienced much unrest and violence. 10 years ago, the region was the centre of a series of protests by Tibetans against the Chinese state. For Tibetan rights groups, Beijing's intentions are a different story entirely: to settle and better assimilate Tibetans into the Chinese model.
So making them happy, it's important. And then insurance policy is just one little thing. It's some sort of a soft power. The goal is to monitor the people, monitor to have a good, better surveillance. It's important to give them some monetary reward, right? But the meaning behind it, it's a whole lot deeper.
A kind of modernization is in progress here on the Tibetan plateau, and it's one that will go ahead under the watchful eye of China.
One of the best-selling tourism souvenirs in Molinen is a trash can. Why? Well, because the Indian community has earned the reputation as Asia's cleanest village. While the influx of visitors has created a welcome source of revenue, it's also generated a headache for keeping the streets clean. Catherine Clifford reports.
A ritual ingrained in these school children's routine. Every Saturday morning, the village grinds to a halt, as every able-bodied member of the community gets down to some serious cleaning.
Pick up the leaves, pick up the paper racks, pick up the plastics and everything. Come.
a tradition that goes back to the late 1800s when the village was devastated by the plague. Christian missionaries imposed strict hygiene rules which have never been compromised since.
There was no hospital, there was no medical center, so many kind of diseases happens in the village from time to time. And then our forefathers, they thought that by keeping clean, we will get the healthy life. We will be free from many kind of diseases.
In 2003, Molinen was named the cleanest village in Asia, all the more remarkable in India, the world's 8th most polluted country. You just have to leave the village to find towering piles of rubbish, to the frustration of its residents.
It's not difficult to avoid pollution. We'd like the other villages around us to do the same. We want those who come here to go away and explain to their families how to clean their own village.
This sparklingly clean village in a dirty country has become a major tourist attraction. And the villagers have cashed in on the concept, selling bins as souvenirs.
They have not troubled the nature, so they have kept up as it is, and it is really an example to the whole of India that all the Indians should visit places like this.
But the village's unique attractions being threatened, as some of the tourists don't see the irony in littering, forcing local authorities to pay extra cleaners.
Since the coming of the tourists, they put the garbage inside the village, like in the roads, in the footpath. So we have to employ our people.
However, Molinen's decided not to close its doors to tourists, and above all, the extra income they bring to residents. A new car park will soon allow the village to welcome up to 1,000 visitors a day.
For 300 couples in Thailand, before they could walk down the aisle, they had to run down a Bangkok highway. This in the annual Running of the Brides. Women showing up with trainers and not pumps, competing in the 3-kilometer event for a chance at winning a lavish, fully paid wedding, plus honeymoons in the Maldives and Japan. But on the final leg of the race, women are carried piggyback by their fiancés. Once again, a reminder, it's not good to have cold feet. That's it for this week. Please stay tuned to France 24.